this?
Somebody else has.
No problem. Oh man, what you said there is something you hear and I say often. Bao monga thai.
I know from your screen line economic.
We can see your screen. Okay, you stopped it.
Okay, screen sharing is closed. Let's try that again.
Take it off.
Sorry guys, just give me 1 second.
No problem.
I got it. The file is like band that I need to follow.
Kalian budo TV aja, itu yang sebenarnya naik pun yang komputer.
Do want to spell out Tayo back. There we go. I'm trying to get to my home.
I'll have just as much trouble. I hate technology.
Yeah, assistant Kape, let me know what.
No, I'm just trying to get my presenter view back in here.
Okay, that's fine.
So the counter night, I don't know why it's not showing. Okay, let's go to slideshow. There we go. Okay, okay, there we go. All right, Assalamu alaikum again, everybody. It's nice to see you all again. Lots of old familiar faces. I see Farhal has also joined us. Hello, Spirit Dancer, long time no see. Keeping in mind the Kutchi Jo forum, my panjo. So first of all, Farhan, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. It's amazing to see everybody and to connect and inshallah, hopefully share some information with all of you that ultimately will bring some value to it. So the best I can do, Kutchi me, ito real estate GTA 2021, bao bo monga thaiga ba. That's all I can do for the Kutchi part of it. Hopefully that works. But jo agenda I make a maaf kar jaake. This is Kutchi me. I don't know how to translate.
Kalim, before you go further, if you are sharing, we cannot see what you are sharing.
Oh, you can't see me at all?
We can see you, but we're not seeing if you are sharing anything yet.
I'm sharing everything. So hold on, let's try again.
Okay. Yeah, I just thought that you were.
Hold on. Why am I not seeing you?
Hi guys. Hi Kalim. Lovely to see you. It's Farial.
Yes.
Hi to everybody. Assalamu alaikum. Farhan, I'm just wondering, did you give Kalim? Did you give him sharing?
Yes, he's got co-host.
As a host.
Yeah, he's got co-host.
Okay. Just thought I would check if that did happen. Okay, great.
Yeah.
I will mute myself now.
No problem. Thanks. And thank you for coming. Nice to see you. Appreciate the support.
So Farhan,
Ji.
I'm seeing.
So what you do is when you do sharing, share my desktop. If you have one screen, if you have two screens, then share screen one or screen.
Okay, so let me minimize this again.
Yeah, or stop sharing and start sharing again.
Hold on, let me just get out of here.
You can also just send your presentation to one of us and one of us can share.
No. Working fine.
He was sharing earlier.
Let's try again here.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Okay, share screen. Here we go.
Unless that's the point of your presentation.
Yes, we now seeing something come up. There we go. We can see that
so
now.
Now I need to get back into my slideshow.
Yeah. So
how do I?
So first of all, just close that document recovery thing at the bottom on the left. On the left. No, there. Just close that.
Yeah.
And then on the bottom right, where you can increase the screen size, there is that button next to the minus sign where you not on the left, sorry, that one. Yeah, that one starts the slideshow.
Okay, so let's go back.
Yep.
I just go, yeah.
There we
Can you
go.
see this now?
Yes, we can now. We see that and see you too.
Now you can see it, and let me put this on here. Okay, are you good to see now, or what can you see now?
Yeah, we can see the presentation.
And you can see the full screen?
No, it's still, we are seeing your presentation, your presenters. Maybe you can just leave the presenters view and go to
okay, so let me get back.
The slideshow.
So how do I get back out of this again?
Just end slideshow and start again. The one next to that display settings where you were up.
Up at the top?
Next to it, yeah. On the right-hand side.
Right-hand side.
It says end slideshow. Do you see that?
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let me do this. Go back here.
Yep. And then just start.
Then I'm just going to do a slideshow here, right? Now can you see it?
Yes, just the slideshow we can see.
Okay. This is what you want. The full screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so sorry about that. So let's go to the next screen now. So anyways, Aju agenda, I want to go take you guys through the historical trend, because I always like to think about the context of, you know, you always start with where you started with, where you're today, and where, inshallah, the whole thing is going to. So historical trend, the best I can translate that to is, Agao jamane mein jo banao kuro thyo. So hopefully that Kutchi wise kind of works for you guys. Kutchi pa wat karna si ke aje kuro hale halyo ai, which is basically going to give you a quick update about the current market update. And as you know, it's already an insane marketplace. So crystal ball projections, I had no clue of how to try and translate the Yanaki. So hopefully that works for you guys. The next part at the end, we'll wrap up my presentation with talking about the opportunities. And to information to milo information tipa kuro kardasi pa. So before I get into the actual agenda, and we all know each other for the last literally 40 something odd years or so. Personally, to bada ke orkhuta ne januta ke he family waro chokro chokri family ware ne agao jo panje mape ke bhi bada orkhuta pan daily life mein pange khabar na ke pa akro bo kuro karuta gana pa business maru you gana pa business owner you gana pa kam karuta so in that sense, corporate wise, so just to give you a little bit more context about my professional background, you know, coming here as a refugee, I've been blessed with many different opportunities. Canada is a wonderful country. So, chalu kare was a salesman, Jack Fraser, a long time ago, 1980, man, eventually, with Allah's grace and a lot of hard work, I became the president for Tip Top Tailors, Jack Fraser's, George Richards, Tare Tresu Dukanu company, so I was looking the whole company. But she Winners and Home Sense, so by the Sunya Panam, I was a vice president there with a department Halainos, UK me, USA me, and Canada me for Winners and Home Sense. But she unfortunately, I was also vice president at Nygaard International Partners. For those of you follow the news, Nygaard Janam hai wo media me bawajai. It wasn't a good company. He's going through a lot of stuff, and I wasn't there a very long time, but based on what was happening over there, I chose to leave. And a long time ago, I also started Pinstripe Menswear in Stockholm after leaving president at Tip Top Tailors. Alhamdulillah, almost 24 Dukanuvi across Canada, but I later sold them all. And currently, I'm the founder and CEO for Caresbridge Residences, seniors jo homes from the project Karuta Evajo. Inshallah, we will be launching it in the very near future in the West End. And BG Panja company Careswell Medical Supplies. We sell domestically made only, no imports, domestically made PPE, personal protective equipment to hospitals and police organizations. But for today's presentation, I come to you in the capacity of a licensed realtor. Challa Charkhan Varastya, जो लाइसेंस खणी हुअसि real estate में. So अॼु जो presentation जो experience ॾिनो से ये real estate perspective में ॾिनो. So voluntarily work, I'm a repeat offender. Canada has been very good पंहिंजे वास्ते ॿुधाए वैसे. So I always believe के पंहिंजी हुकम ऐं power take we give back to the communities that help support our lifestyle. So Durham में रहिया तो last 30 वरस थिया. So Durham District School Board जो Ignite Learning Foundation है जरा बच्चाओं के who are in poverty, living poverty, they come to school hungry. The foundation जो I'm vice chair for the second term. Toronto region government relations ambassador task force मतलब भी I'm member है. लोग हमें invite करेंगे. So इनके भी मुझे almost 3 वर्ष थे या પછી TREB जो भी हो members community committee member में almost 4 वर्ष था कराता हूँ. પછી of course Noor Islam Society of Canada, which is close to all our hearts. आपको तो पता खबर है पंजा वडील मरे चालू करिया almost 40 something years ago. So I'm currently vice president until the next elections. So hopefully that gives you guys a little perspective of what I bring to the table today. So the chart, man, there's a lot of very important historical pricing. So I can attention karno sida ke he would arrow I it niche lakhelo 2000. Whereas 2000 it niche sudhi 2021 sudhi. And he tracking I for ajijo conversation was there for 4-bedroom house was there. So 3G line I naida between 150 roughly year 2000 में roughly 280 के maybe $300,000 जो बांग के लगो. Interesting बात है कि 2000 to 2010 सुधी अनारो था ही trajectory in GI over $600,000. So I जो मकान गिरा हुआ तो year 2000 में by 2010 में ये जो मकान 280 to roughly to over $600,000 in value. So obviously it's a huge upswing in values and equity, right? More interesting I ke 2010 to 2015 sudhi naro, if you're about, let's say, 6.5-7 lakh it went all the way up to over $1 million. So it almost double value thavio, but next 5 years is almost doubled again. So he joined follow karo trajectory all the way here sudhi. He read ROI में थी खाली बहुत ही 21 वर्ष में the value is actually dipped. ने पहलो ROI तो ये more अतीफा जो realm है तो इन वास्ते बात करी सकूँ पर 2017 में government केटलो concern थे वो कि the market is way too high. पर बाव है ने बहुत वधीवे कोई afford न तो करी सके. तो ये लोग अच्छा कि पाए ने mortgage stress test खनी है. भले यहाँ के 52% में के जो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट मिले जो इंटरेस्ट पर के क्वालिफाई करन जो 4.5% में. So ये लोग का गिनिया हुआ the end of 2017 ने 21 वर्ष में खाली पहली वक्त prices actually came down. इधर ना रोता, right? So 2018 में the mortgage stress came in and that's when prices dipped almost 30-40%. But ये पाछवा ना रो तो trajectory पाछी it started on its own way again all the way back up all the way. Actually, of course, 2020 में पांच तो तुम्हारे खबर है क्रोध हो ये COVID that Faryal spoke so eloquently last week to COVID आयो. That was the second time in 21 years or 20 years at that point that the sales actually dipped again. Narotan right? But त्यासी within COVID situation में पाचा भाव मथे चढ़ी गया, right? So ही यानी 21 वर्ष जो history ना रो के 4-bedroom में Toronto region में खाली वक्त आखी 21 वर्ष में prices have come down. Evo artificially government stop करने जी तो कोशिश करनी भी कि करो मारू के affordability करी सके लोगा. Bio the act of God अल्लाह जे हुकुम थी दो ये COVID. So basically history का ना रो तो पूरा embrace करने जो पांके बात के real estate is a long-term play. You know. Gana maruai gana ke who are experienced ne loka speculation in loka pacho je karje loka achata with deep pockets or makan ka ginna ke junno no tutelo futelo they'll renovate it hajar no let's say 2 lakh 3 lakh mein khane hane to nata milana bhapan let's say 5 lakh में गिने 2 lakh भी आविजना 7 lakh जो भाव थे ये लोग का जो $1 million में बेच सकना इनके चौथा हूँ hit and run investor speculators now ये जो आवटे जो पैसा ना हो कि that you have discretionary income it's a very speculative play and it's not recommended कि जो ये investment on जो घुमाई भी हो it's going to affect your entire life this is basically for people के लोग का गणा पैसा मकान भराई भी हो गाड़ियों भराई हुए स्कूल जो you know education kids जो मारे थे भी हो इन लोग का पचा savings हो that's maybe लोग का consider करे के get into the hit and run speculative market but essentially long term I not होता 21 वर्ष में के historically real estate is a very sound investment जारे आवटे कोशिश थी ने अल्लाह हुक्म थी तो always buy real estate because your money will be safe, right? Okay, so having discussed that, ito history में अब जो market में कुरो है वो जनारो तो right? So yellow है पहलो आके बतानो सीधा ये average price and ये market April 2021 जा stats, right? इधर नारो तो नीचे के last year the April थी भाव वधिया है 41%. Okay? Last year, April, में पा about 3,000 मकान आखिर GTA में बेचाना हुआ इधर नारो तो, right? ने ही वरस, and even though लोग अच्छे था कि last year April में अटलो COVID जो tension ने बदो वो कि you know it was a very low month for April. However, historically ने नारो तो ही वरस April में almost 14,000 homes बेचाना है, which is a 362% increase. And ito is not a good comparable, but Ankuro Naraida ke Bao Vadiai, single detached home ke Maleke Kapeta Bra, Koke semis, the townhouse, they love detached homes. 41% increase in prices during COVID. More importantly, he starts high 47,000. Typically on January, February, May, sales are very low because most realtors are in real estate vacation January, February, May. Actually, March में आस्ते आस्ते spring market चालू किया. March, April, May, June, it goes ballistic, right? Gangbusters. So January, February traditionally very slow and March is okay and April is even better. Here everything turned topsy-turvy. January and February and March were gangbusters, huge numbers. Even though last April 22,000 was GTA here 47,000, right? Fun. Apply makan vechana fun. Historically, March, April, it goes up. Here, March me vadare houses vechana ne almost April me 12-13% ocha vechana. So imate vichar karo ke it's turned upside down. When jo matlab karo thyo. Matlab thye to ke maybe the real estate market jara cool down thini because traditionally March to April to May भाव भी वधे ने sales भी वधे था पर ये वक्त April to March to April sales actually 13% down so potentially लोग चौथा के अरे पाके खबर ना and we'll get into the projections later but चौथा के potentially market may be slowing down right and जो भी करो है के listings अच्छा है भाई वक्त right almost 9% less than March and लोग चौथा के maybe buyers look at la thaki gaya ke bade makan mein na rota log likhna ke 899 or 1,099,000 holding offers basically log chota ke 899 is the lowest and will not accept prices or multiple bids log chutan ke hakle makan mathe inventory at least ochi ai ke hakle makan mathe madu log 20 ke 3 offers which now right ne the chances of getting is so slim one Maru goteta makan, but after 10-15 offers vijata, then losing those offers, we're tired. We're not going to look around anymore. So iloka jo makan na gini sage, to obviously loka to pote jo makan ni veche, right? So all of a sudden, listings pota janata rakhe. So March to April, usually listings mathet vineta. This year, niche aa gaya. So many different factors are at play at this point. And typically now we have to say, what does all of this mean, right? So, how does one project what is exactly going to happen? crystal ball, crystal ball on Chuaka because it's essentially that. There's no science to actually predicting. Professional model loka organizations loka model loka hoita ke loka atla paisa vapre ne akhi teams rakhe ne atla bada variables loka research kare to figure out ke what is actually going to happen, what's the prediction. So give you an example. Last May CMHC ke Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, which actually har ek transaction Japan jo real estate jo the to in May, they're almost involved in it because the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. In jo CEO last May forecast kari ke COVID reason la karine, prices are going to drop 18% over the next 12 months. Okay. Bio what organization I bo learned maru loka bada hoita and big teams and research kare tha. Oxford Economics loka predict kare ke 9% sales are going to come down. Moody's credit rating vadi organization hai iloka chawa ke sales are going to come down 7%. They were all wrong. Ye vada organization ne companies mare bado predictions karivi totally wrong. This is what happened. Average price in Canada from last May to this May coming up has gone up 32%. And I vichar karo iloka vada maduva vadi organizations hai iloka ke nathi samajh poe what this market is doing. Panjo crore farak in right? Panjo crore overcome. In short, crystal ball is exactly what it is. The fundamentals gani jacha hai ke real estate market mein, there's inventory, there's supply, there's demographics, biya variables hai ke maduloka ke kam evidence jarur nahi atli badi right ke badai ke remotely kam kari saketa ye computer mate gare thi interest rates ke atifa wat karan ji all of these variables all collide together. Bado thene bado khichdi banai ta emethi puro thinjo pange ke khabar nahi right. Fun the only thing pa kari saguta ke well informed kari sakje panje pote ke decide kaje ke what does this all mean? So gana factors hai ke panke consider karan right. And Canada jo immigration policy under Justin Trudeau usually between 300,000 to 500,000 new immigrants allow kareta right. In Mathi half almost 150,000 usually GTA mein achata right. Badake Toronto mein achuna renna right, which is the least affordability price. But GTA ja builders mare aaye average loka nawa makan banaita new supply achati about 60,000. And vichar karo I math karo take 150 maad loka achata 150,000 maadu achata makan nawa banaita khali 60,000. The rest are all occupied anyway. So right away I narota ke in a shortfall about a 90,000 unit housing jo shortfall. The rental mein kareta condos, semi townhouses, detached bado right. And vichar karo ke COVID mein thi immigration is almost stopped right. So the borders mein malo ko bada wat na jinji application ne mare tayar thai hui last year loka mare atki bhi hai oda. So loka wat na reta ke COVID pati ne loka ji visa gini achi bhi nahi. So e madu loka achan jai abo almost 150,000 ne bia 150,000 bia achna new immigrants. And vichar karo the housing market cannot support these new people coming in right. Bio Asia thi gana maru Middle East thi gana maru acheta hai wo jo foreign investors. Ne dunia mein na rota ke New York, ke London, flat mein gino ke Japan mein ke Hong Kong mein makan khana vinota they're way expensive. Toronto atli badi cosmopolitan world city hai but panja bao atla panke lageta expensive hai wo monga hai but compared to the world we are still the very cheapest option in town right. So iloka they have deep pockets nachini makan gini gineta pachi khali pya hota makan dia right. Condos khali pya hota vada makan kyunki loka ke jarur nahi paise ji loka gini ne khabar hai ke varas mein 2 lakh 3 lakh 4 lakh jo increase thin jo hai so they don't mind. Ero thai gyo hai ke British Columbia mein atla bada makan Asia thi madu ka gini ne khali rakhna wa ye loka speculation vacancy tax kine right. Bargam jara madu extra 15% tax loka baraina wa. To bhi inje karta in spite of that to bhi loka Asian loka could afford it. हाणे टोरंटो में एटलीस्ट शॉर्टेज है सप्लाई ये लोग गवर्नमेंट कंसिडर करे थी कि जो मकान गिनो ने खाली पियो ने मकान लोग का खबर पोए वहाँ के वैकेंसी रेट टैक्स भरन जो अजीब लो आयो ना बट guaranteed ये लोग का कंसिडर करे था who knows it might even come in बियो है कि आखी हिस्ट्री में interest rates are the lowest right now मेरे याद ऐसा जरा ब्रैम्पटन में ऐसा जो मकान गिरा हुआ है almost 84 में their interest rates are between 14 and 18%. I vichar karo. There about ocha wapan interest is katlo wado. Aje interest rates are between 1.8 and 1.9. And if I don't want to steal your thunder, but you know, it's the lowest in history. So, how wadi but interest rate is so affordable that more people are qualified. BOI negative impact maybe make a cover night, but June 1st, Joe. Government pachi गिने थी mortgage stress test पाचो बताई थी आगे याद है कि आंके बताई वो chart में कि the only time the first time in 21 years sales dipped हुआ is in 2018 right 2017 2018 लोग का stress गिने हुए तो ही जून में पाचो stress test 4 point something to 5.25 लोग का वधान जाए so automatically जो buying power वो 5% cut थी it'd be harder to qualify Biokuro chua ke je maru 80s and 90s में लोका मकान गिरी हुई 150 200,000 जा यानी लोका थे भी in the 60s में जे जड़ा right के करो चुए के लोका जो मकान अटला value थे भी 200,000 में जो गिरी हुई they're looking at homes that are worth over 1.5 1.6 million dollars and most लोका if not all बड़ा लोका जो mortgage जो भराए हुए so लोका जो cash out position हो तो over $1 million to $1.5 million You look at vichar karte hana sa 60s mein the vi sa older thuta so why do we need to live in the city all of a sudden look at vichar kare ta ki why not buy a cottage 4-season cottage a north mein $1 million jo cottage kani inje $1 million to 3 lakh bank mein bhi jis sajje and why don't we just retire and take it easy so as a result aki cottage country has gone ballistic in prices you look cottage country jo look at the bhav vadhi gaya almost like 40 to 50% right because inventory cottage, waterfront cottage property, that's it. That's all there is. Typically, cottage pinja site family so the inventory is very low. So, anyways, factors I consider predict nata kari growth enjoy market. But jopa information we think now understand it is a volatile market. Volatile markets में ने पाके बहुत careful होना कपे कैसे ने पूरा कर जाए so that's why it's so important के पा right agent के गिंजे के hire कर जाए because at the end of the day it's not only के पा जो औरखित तो है पर इनके खबर होनी कपे के पूरा करन जो पूरा ना करन जो experience होना कपे ने पाके trust करी सकता golden rule पाँव तो पहला बदले के चुनारो don't wait to buy real estate buy real estate and then wait बहुत easy है चोन में पना के विचार नहीं करो कटला मारू में किचे ना बा आऊँ वाट नारी गिना तो ये market बहुत hot है the market's too hot I'm gonna wait so bad news for those guys जी आई वाट ना वधारे भाव वधी ना right पा चोना वास के 1984 में जरा असा मकान गिरास Brampton में डेढ़ लोग का साथे मरूम डेढ़ लोग का साथे असा मकान 2400 square foot जो मकान गिरा हुआ $64,000 अजय ये मकान over $1.5 million है जब 64 जो गिरा हुआ त्यारा संगे मोंगो लगनो right अजय 1.5 जो मोंगो लगनो so it's all relative so my advice is don't wait buy the real estate when you can afford it and buy the one that you can afford but don't wait if you wait it's not going to happen golden rule number 2 and he direct sports analogy right don't go where the ball is go where the ball is going जो पांच मरे जब बच्चा निंदा वालों का सॉकर रना है जो सॉकर के में जो व्याह होना और नारे होना के 5-6 वर्ष बचला मरे सॉकर रना है ने जिधर बॉल भी ने आकी टोड़ी उड़ा मरे बगे right everybody runs over there अच्छी ये लोग जी वड़ा थीन मंडिया इजी सॉकर गेम ये लोग का विचार करो के अकोड़ो बहुत जाना वो जिधर सारा प्लेयर वन है ये लोग का वो आकी टोड़ी सते ना दौड़ना हो they would go over to the side ने उनको वाट ना रहे कि लोग जो partner team में लोग का ball pass करे लोग का goal वास्ते मारे right so real estate में same analogy है तो I विचार करो कि नो बदे Richmond Hill वातु करे था Newmarket, right? Milton. इधर तो price and valuations atla वधी भी आए बदे के उड़ाज खपे तो के मकान गिने. So I would have win now makan ginanla. So sure, but it'll be a very high price. The uptake will be sure ke bhav vadna. But jo vichar karo jo Brampton Brampton asaja soda move thya 60,000. Ajay 700 something thousand people. Gana smart model was jo Brampton mein check aisa makan vecha yu mar goli Brampton ke aisa vinu ta Milton mein. Tyare Milton jo bhav ocha hua, right? Because the wave, the suburban crawl was going over there. Soon enough, oh my God, Milton has gone explosive again. Milton they move further out east, west again, because as you know, you don't go, okay, continue to keep the janja paisa banivet. If you have the ability, sell it and move on. Why not, right? We can't all move every 4 or 5 years, but typically Canadians do move every 5 to 7 years. So at the end of the day, I vichar karo ke west mein pehla chalu thyo ghane maru ke yaad no ke Brampton used to be a long distance from Toronto long distance to Brampton was long distance 410 kina right. Ajay, Brampton, Georgetown, Caledon, Milton, Cambridge, all the way to Kitchener, Waterloo, all of those places are really all very gentrified and expensive. Ambade ke chala 4-5 varas chua to ke and jo Scarborough East, not only Durham region mein, is the biggest win. So investment properties ko ke ginni way ke jo maru ke who can move and Toronto mein downtown mein kam na karun jo Durham region is the place to go because vichar karo asaja Ajax mein asa almost 3 soras theya san. Asaja asanjo makan vechas last year me asachas ke know what nike come Toronto mein vinanji jarur nahi am to kidat bhi kam kari saga to asan jaki life asa east mein jadi aayo osa vichar kara ska sa oshaw mein vinnas makan ginnas right and 2 minutes rasto hai more east but they think it's oshaw man kuro kolo to oshaw mein kuro anjoda kera hai kina Ajay, in the last 12 months, Oshawa price values up 48%. Baro mahine mein 48% increase price thai hai. Because Yimar Scarborough, Toronto wara maru bada hua loka jo makan vecheta, loka khabar hai ke aisa 7-8 lakh jo profit hai, we can come to Oshawa, buy a cheaper house over there, still get more value for my money. Loka khabar hai ke next 5 years made Oshawa and Bowmanville, Curtis, ibadi jagah mein go train mare kora achieve nanji, right? Subway lines achieve nanji mare. So this is I'm talking on the east versus west is where the opportunity is. So vichar karo ke don't go where the ball is, go where the ball is going to be. Okay, so ane pa vichar pa na vatu kariyan ki history kurove, current market kurove, right? And the fundamentals kurove ke good evidence-based decision making. मैंने पर विचार किया कि ये information मिली है तो opportunities पाने वास्ते हुआ है. So couple of different opportunities ने ये खाली बज opportunities नहीं भी opportunities है पर for time purposes बो opportunities खींची हैं कि one is pre-construction चोता के अजय मकान नजी तैयार नहीं right ने plans में थी गिनो मकान pre-construction. It's a great investment but reason जो आज जो पोते जो मकान order आई गिनी गिरा यो बड़ा secure बड़ो यहाँ वटे savings है. आई विचार करो ताकि नो बच्चा जिनिंद है यहाँ 3-4 वर्ष में लोग कभी तैयार थे ना मकान गिनन ला करीने. I will buy a pre-construction house because pre-construction typically लगे आंके at least 4 वर्ष right and most certainly delay थी नो. The 4 to 5 वर्ष तो सच्चा जान जा before ये मकान बनता है कि condo हो कि townhouse doesn't matter. The second option on वास्ते it's a good thing is because if you live with your parents, rent ke na bharna ke ocho rent bharna ke whatever, jo a full deposit now. Pre-construction mein jo positive hai ke in staggered deposit structure. Usually ke 5% 3 sign karo contract so 3 divas na ke 5% khali down payment dinjo. Achi bya 6 mahine patya ke bya 5% dinjo 5%. Bya 6 mahine mein so e pramane karine वरस के 3 वरस में आके at least 15-20% आई भरी सको. So that by the time मकान के condo के तैयार થઈ हुए and your down payment has been secured. The positive is कि आज भाव में typically आई 3 वरस अज्ञा मकान खणी सघो था पर इनमें स्लाइट हुआ है कि थोड़ा प्रीमियम हो तो कि अज जो तैयार मकान गिनो तो स्लाइटली चीपर बट our deposit now so this is a good option अगली खराब चीज हुई थी and it's very rare but it happens असां के बनाव बनी वियो कि आई डिपॉजिट दे दियो आखो फुल ने પછી 2 વર્ષ થઈ ગયા ને કન્સ્ટ્રક્શન ચાલુ થઈને જો હોય ને બિલ્ડર પુલ આઉટ કરી ગને કે you know what અસાં કે ભાવ ઓછા દીના વાસ કે રજિસ્ટ્રેશન ના મિલો they can pull out ને જ્યાં કે કોન્ડો જો 5 લાખ જો કોન્ડો ગિરાવન હણે જે વેલ્યુ unbuilt is almost $600,000 यहाँ के appreciation view. If you had put that money somewhere else, it would have been like get out, then you would have found that appreciation already. So it's rare, but it does happen. The only good thing is can your deposit, can have deposit insurance at it. So I have $1,00,000, 60,000, whatever deposit dinawo is always secure. But so this is one opportunity. The opportunity is probably consider Karisaguta is land banking. The opportunity is definitely for the most sophisticated investor. He kade consider karanjo ke anji aki lifestyle is secure. Jo makan barai vio hai ke everything else is taken care of. Ne to haji anji discretionary income hoy extra. Ne vichar karo ta ke RSP gini giroya, GICs gini giroya, mutual funds gini giroya. So this is a way of diversifying on your investment portfolio. Like in markets, in the trade, in the stocks, they fluctuate up and down. Land, it's always a good opportunity. So again, repeat, this is more for the sophisticated investor. Land banking join me budget, right? Paklo I pote gini sagota, right? Ne bioto I consortium sate gini sagota. Ne atifan ke choni ke जो मकान गिनो ने लैंड गिनो ने तो different qualifying conditions होता है तो मकान गिनो तो कोक फिर जो first time buyer and 5% डाउन भी जो तो हजियां के मकान मिल सके तो raw land में खाली land में बैंक है ना के खाली 50% financing दी so basically जो $1 million जो land गिनो तो आके $500,000 deposit तो down payment तो दीनू खपने so individually join your approach so this is something you can do now approach answer te pana ka ji desire hai kai karan jo to consortium pa banai sakuta right consortium jo matlab ke amate 50,000 shilling 50,000 shillings hoye extra ताकि invest करना है and now your land $1 million जो ना खबर है कि 50% तो देना पड़ना $500,000 find your friends and the business associates get your sample. Make about 50% $50,000 I panke $500,000 down payment capital. Alopa do jana ke bhega karje like-minded. Each pa $50,000 with je inmeti ke panjo $500,000 thay vine ne pai land ginje. Right? So individual versus consortium. Inme anke share thay sake to. So basically anjo risk bhi ocho thay sake to. हम जो clients के चौथे दर पे land जो investment है ने हम चौथे it's a 3-year, 5-year, 10-year land investment plan. अगर बात करिए आज के real estate is a long-term play. 3 years जो मतलब करो कि ये land raw land होती पान करो prime land उन्हों की इनमें government services होनी sewage services पानी उन्हों बदो is already there. That's very close to a developed area. So in 3 years mein, because on the strategy huni land gina lakarini to get it to development status, zoning na bodo karanjo. So in 3 years jo plan hoy to ke and your return on investment you can take out. That always has a premium attached to it. Never that a mongo hoy to. The next stage hoy to in meti 5 years cho land, right? Yeah, basically 5 years sudi ankini kari saboi investments aate. Anche zoning karanu ponu anche pani kinechnu kamnu municipal jo anche sewers ginechna kapna anche everything development karnu ponu so anjo return on investment will be locked in for at least 5 years chalo bhag hoy to inme which is a long term plan with 10-year land investment plan 10 years jo to ke again pa with the right real estate agent right networks official, just each municipality in a city, in a town, mein, official development plan look they put out all the time. So research just strategically and pa na je okay he loka chota ke next 2 varas mein loka ke hida band nuai hida hignex nuai hida transit banai nuai hida subway banai nuai whatever it is pa research kare choch ke he have jo farm mai jo da 4.2 is acres or whatever, right? But next 10 years mein idati basu watani idati highways banan jai idati u banan jo hai. So this eventually he agriculture farm hai he farm nai range eventually it does subdivision banan jai. So pa research kari saguta network kari saguta or city planners sate ke he 2 varas mein he land and aje $1 million jo hai farm 2 varas mein he value thinji hai 5 10 15 20 million dollars. So again recapping 3 varas 5-year 10-year plan. Now but you know it's always good to invest in different parts so that you don't have all your eggs in one basket. So again EI land banking has to be very strategic research and decision making. Right? Okay. So आज जो discussion पर थोड़ा focus करने जाए कि first time home buyers ये अतीफा जो part है पर essentially government चाहिए कि अतला भाव वधी गया है कि पांचा first time buyers है पांचा बच्चा लोग का even though लोग का 50 के 100 or $150,000 बनाए तो लोग का जो deposit down payment enough नहीं लोग का qualify नहीं था करे तो लोग का गिनिया है government share equity mortgage essentially at a high level ये लोग आंके लोन देना 5 के 10% जो आए नवो मकान गिनो ये लोन आंके पाची भरनी पड़े ने जो आए रीसेल गिनो होता तो आंके 5% ये लोग का लोन देना पर ऐसे लोग का स्ट्रक्चर करिया है कि जरा मकान बेचो ने जो लोन ना भरे तो ये लोग के ने आज प्रॉफिट होए 50,000 के 100,000 तो ये लोग के ये परसेंटेज ये लोग के भी मिले ने 80s में सेम सिचुएशन हुआ कि मकान कोई गिनना ना हुआ because 18% interest हो तो लोग का at the time government के $5,000 free grants दी गई तो आज पैसा थोड़ा पैसा हुए तो आगे grant के गिनो मकान गिनो so it's the same type of situation. The more important one for first time buyers जाए कि जब भी आए मकान कोई भी land गिनो ने government खपे तो आए मतलब tax पर लोग का चुका land transfer इनके चुका right tax तो जो आए first time buyers होता ने तो ये लोग कहेंगे कि up to 4,000 जो rebate दे देता पाचा if you are a first time buyer right ने typically land transfer tax होता at least $10,000 to $15,000 at any given point depending value मते right and its value जो मकान जो 2 million जो है obviously taxes land transfer वधा रहता पन लोग का government के दीनी as a rebate one time up to $4,000 आज accountant साथ अंगे बात करने का पिजरा मकान गिनो first time buyer तरीके ने करा conditions है पर it's a good incentive. Okay, so first time buyers incentive. Alright, जरे आउं चालू करियोस 2004 कन वरस पहला right 2016 में तेरे खाली 26,000 agents वा account area में अजिया over 60,000 agents ने पर जड़े मकान गिनुता के land गिनुता typically पांच आखी life में the whole life that is one of the largest and most important purchase transaction right so it's very important के पा कोक से तो कम करी सगुचा के पा trustworthy करी सजे के इनके experience हो तो right ने गणा मारुआ agents आगे खाली example दिया के he stats आए 2018 में थी right 2018 में about 52,000 agents वाइडा इनमें तो 20,000 agent 38% कोई भी transaction ना करिए वाले लोग right 25,000 agents almost half आखे वरस में 1 to 6 deals करिए खाली 5,000 which is about 10% actually करी more than 7 deals in the 12 months and विचार करो 52,000 agents में थी खाली 1,100 agents खाली 4% actually deal करिए 1 deal a month. But see, there's only 370 and 340 agents who did anything better than that. So agents to gana right? Pan ke vichar kanu kape ke kin ke right experience hai kin ko knowledge ne kin ji. Also badam je client ke cha panj niyat sari honi kape right? Gana agent hoy ta ke khap iloko ke khape khali commission. Koi bhi makan saro e na saro anke game chuna kha gini gino. Okay, example दिया मैं जो को client हो अफ्रीका और investor अफ्रीका में दिए तो pan enjoy PR residency da to inke enjoy money transfer karna wa ini ke cho kalimba tu ini mike ai mike makan goti dio fine makan wo e Vaughan mein $2.2 million makan wo and naro to makan ali shan under beautiful makan, right? Almost 5,000 square feet makan wo inke boj gam ye che kalimba imate pa offer dije vichar karan cho okay narja and vichar karo ka $2 million mate commission katlo saro maadu ke mili sake to, right? Avadara research karyo scenarios ke inje directly put here railroad jo train tracks. $2 million jo makan mein most maadu ke khape na to ke put here every 15 minute to train overtime, right? I think just ke suno bhai, I don't think I makan gino. Which nana makan bo fine hai pa ke game to bhav sar cha ha fine hai but put here in the train hai. Hale potentially commission gumai no was on $2 million sale. But मुझे नियत सारी मुझे खबर है कि मारू के investment करना है it's a lot of money and you have to make the right decision. So guidance and is very important in these type of situations. So that's about it, I think, for my presentation. I hope कि आपके सारो जरा information मिलो. And once again, thank you, Farhan, for giving this. And then, any questions you have, I'm happy to follow up after this and after Atifa kicks in with her presentation. So once again, Jazakallah, thank you so much.
Kalimba, that was a fantastic presentation. Thank you very much. Majawi, I learned a lot. And I know the youngsters that are there were struggling with Kutchi. They were trying to keep up with you too, but but you know, I think you were between both Kutchi and English, which was really good.
My apologies for the technical difficulties in the beginning. So
it's okay. It's okay. So Jenkapan questions were Panji chat me if you can please put your questions. Or Kalimba, your volume, I can hear him properly. I know a few people had complained about your volume, but it's a bit late now. But koi kapan chat question where chat mein rakhi sakota ne poi, you know, as Atifa is speaking, Kalimba can answer those questions. And if you have questions for Atifa as well, you can put them in the chat, or later on we can have a quick you know, we'll go off mute and then we'll talk. So with that said, I will now ask, so Kalimba, if you can stop sharing.
Yes, I'm
your
trying
screen.
to figure that out again. So
no problem. I think Atifa, if you start sharing, it'll probably overwrite his.
Does that work?
Yes, it does. We can see your screen.
Okay. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, Alhamdulillah. Yes, we can hear you fine. This is...
Okay, assalamualaikum everyone. So my name is Atifa. I'm Iqbal and Tasneem's daughter. My resume is not as well versed as Kalim Kaka's. But I remember when I was young and I was in high school, I would ask him to come to my business presentations for his international business. I've worked with him and for him in his retail companies that he had. So it's nice to be able to sit on the panel next to him this time. So I texted him when this happened. I'm like, it's about time you and I work together on something. So thank you for the opportunity, Farhan, to be able to put us two together. I'm not sure why we didn't do it sooner, to be honest. So I'm here, Hani Mijikachi. I won't be able to do this in Kutchi, so I will do this for the younger generation. I will do my presentation in English. And when I can, I'll put a little bit of Kutchi into it. But so my role is I am a mortgage specialist with Rbc Royal Bank. I've been with the Royal Bank for 5 years. Really after our first son, after we sold the franchise business that we had up in Tiny with mom and dad, when we moved here, that's when I kind of got into the financial world. So I've been in as a financial advisor. So I have background in financial planning, savings, investments, loans and credit, but I find that I enjoy credit more, so I lean towards the mortgage specialist role. So I'm here to kind of complement everything that Kalim Kaka has really talked about in the market and the way things are going, but more so the financing behind getting a house. So let's see if I can start. Is that better? Can we see the screen?
Yes, it's a full presentation screen. Go ahead.
Okay. So this is the agenda I've put together. And for me, it's a little tough because like Farhan said in the beginning, the audience here, Joe, I'm sure a lot of you already have your homes, maybe your second homes, and you know the process more or less of what it takes to be able to purchase a house. But this is for if you are looking for the next place, the investment in property to build your portfolio, or if you have kids or grandkids who are in that process now or saving towards buying the house. It's always nice to have a good refresher because things have changed from the way they were years ago. So we're going to start with just seeing how much you can afford, what that means, what that looks like, your down payment, where that can come from, how it's calculated, some of the mortgage basics, some other financial considerations, and then I'll briefly talk about refinances and investment properties because I think right now, the way the market is, I think the market is for these types of people right now. It's hard for first-time buyers to get their foot in the door, but the refinances and investment properties is kind of what's been going on a lot more. So when we talk about what you can afford or seeing what you can afford, we talk about getting pre-approved. So when you're out with Kalim Kaka and you're looking at those houses, but you don't know how much you can afford, or he doesn't kind of know which house to show you, the first step is always good to get pre-approved. And maybe 5-10 years ago, it wasn't as important. But as things have changed, the market has changed, the overbidding has been happening more and more. It is good to get pre-approved first, okay? It benefits everyone in a few different ways because you're able to lock in a rate with your mortgage provider for 120 days. With RBC, I know it's 120 days anyway. What that means for the client is that if rates were to go up while you're looking for your house, you're still guaranteed that low rate. And if rates go down, you'll still offer the low rate. Real estate agents, so Kalim Kaka will take you more seriously when he's showing you houses. He's not just him, but you're not wasting your time looking at houses that are way out of your budget, right? So everybody knows time is money. It takes a lot of work in finding homes that work for people. So if real estate agents know that you have a pre-approved amount, which essentially they know that the bank is committed, along with some conditions to lend you the money, they know that, you're serious, you're looking for a home, this is your budget. They're not going to show you things that are outside of your budget. And then it really has no cost or obligation to you. It doesn't cost you anything to get a pre-approval, and you're not obligated to stay with that lender. But at least this is my max, I can go up to this amount. For a lot of people, it forces them to look at their current financial situations too, and their current spending habits or practices. A lot of people don't do that on a regular basis, a monthly, daily basis. And then when they start to say, okay, we want to buy that house, where's all our money going? It forces them to kind of sit down and take a look. Okay, this is where all our money is going on a monthly basis. Let's start allocating it towards, saving for that down payment, or saving, for the other things that we might need that come along with a mortgage. And it really comes down to income versus debt. When we talk about, debt servicing and gross debt servicing, it is a much bigger conversation to have. And it is nice to sit down with someone to be able to discuss that. But essentially, the banks do not want you spending more than 35 to 40% on your home expenses. So if the income versus that debt ratio goes over that 40%, they have to either get you to put more down or give you a lower pre-approval, right? So there are times when we can go over and ask for exceptions if people have savings to compensate that. But for the most part, you're looking at 35 to 40% debt to income ratio when we're looking at pre-approvals or any credit, really. I've put a little link here that I can send to everyone. If you're looking to see what your debt service is, CMHC, which is the Canadian Mortgage Housing Corporation, they have this on their website. So you can actually go in there, plug and play your expenses and your income, and it'll give you your debt servicing. So you know, before you even go to the bank, if you do, how much, give you an idea of how much you'll be able to be approved for. Okay. The next thing is the down payment that goes with the pre-approval. So I put a little chart here with different percentages of down payment. Now, like Linka said, as a first-time home buyer, they are allowed to put 5% down. However, if the purchase price of the house is $500,000 or more, the minimum is 10%. Has to be 10%. Anything under that's 5. These days, it is hard to find something under $500,000. So it just goes to show you that the more you put down, how much interest you are paying overall. And if anybody is putting less than 20%, then you will need mortgage default insurance. Now, what is mortgage default insurance? So we do have CMHC and we do have Genworth that are the primary companies that are used. And they are basically, the government of Canada says it's required that anybody putting less than 20% down gets this mortgage default insurance. It's more of a protection for the lender in case of default. So in case the client stops making their mortgage payments, the banks are protected. So it's not so much for the client, this is more for the bank so that you're able to get into that first home or, you know, buy that second home if that's what we're looking for. So it doesn't matter if it's 19%, doesn't matter if it's 5%. If it's anything under 20%, you will pay the default insurance mortgage. Now that can get added to your mortgage. So you pay it over the course of your mortgage, or you can pay it up front. But depending on how much you're putting down, that premium is less if you're putting more down. But once you hit 20%, it's a conventional mortgage. You don't need to go through CMHC. Okay. I tell a lot of clients when, it's frozen.
We see the slide that says other financial considerations.
Yeah. Oh.
Maybe stop the presentation and start again.
Oh, I just paused it.
Oh, okay.
I'll unpause. Can you see now?
There we go. We can see the, start the slide.
The down payment screen? Okay, perfect.
Yep.
I learned a little bit with working from home and working these PowerPoint presentations. They're not fun, but I learned a little bit. Okay, and then in terms of what kind of funds can be used for a down payment, you can use your own cash and savings and investments. You can use equity in existing properties if you already own one, or if you're selling an existing property, the funds from that can go towards the next. If you're getting a gift from your parents, that is allowed too. We give a gift letter. They sign off saying that they're giving you a gift. The gift can only come from immediate family. And like Angaka mentioned, if you are a first-time home buyer, you are allowed to use your RSP investments. That is only for first-time home buyers. And each person on the mortgage is allowed to use it. So each person is allowed to use up to $35,000 of their RSP investments towards the down payment of their home. This money does need to be repaid back to the RSP, but you do have 15 years to repay it back. And it has to start being repaid back 2 years after, okay? So this goes back to accounting as well. Some of these things accountants are like better at, but when you're putting money back into your RSP, you're allocating, you have to let them know that you're allocating it to repay the RSP for the down payment back. Now, if you are not married and you owned a house previously and it was sold, and then you get married and your spouse has never bought a house and you've never bought a house, because you're getting married and the spouse hasn't bought a house, you still qualify as a first-time home buyer. So in that sense, it can be used again. But if you're already married and, you know, then it's kind of done. But that's the only other time that if you owned a house previously, like before marriage, that you can qualify as another first-time home buyer, which also takes away that land transfer tax that I was talking about. So, I mean, that can work out too for some people. The other expenses that go with buying a house are the closing costs, also mentioned earlier. So you have your lawyer fees that can depend on the province you live in, which lawyer you're using, all that kind of stuff. Appraisal fees you may get charged for when the banks do the appraisal, and the land transfer tax, which as a first-time buyer, you would get waived, but normally it would be there as well. Now, Gangaka did mention as of June 1st, the qualifying rate. So when someone is applying for a mortgage, there is a qualifying rate that we have to qualify them at. Now, that's not the rate that they would be receiving, but we have to make sure that if the interest rates were to go that high, that the client can still afford that mortgage. So right now that rate is sitting at 4.79. Seems high, it is high. But as of June 1st, which is not too far away, it does go up to the 5.25. So it does take away someone's buying power. So if you're kind of sitting in that boat that you were thinking, I want to, you know, get a mortgage and purchase this house, and you have everything ready, do it before June 1st, because it will take away the buying power. And the hope is, is it going to cool the prices? Probably not. But I think the hope is that it'll stop some of the overbidding, because the overbidding has been going, you know, not just 100,000, sometimes 200, sometimes $300,000 over asking. And yes, you know, these properties are priced to sell, but I think that's the hope, that the government is trying to cool down the overbidding. So if people know that that stress test has gone up, that might stop, because they know they might not be able to qualify like they used to before. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Now, if we look at some mortgage basics, for a lot of people, especially now in this economy, you know, you debate between fixed or variable, like what's better for me. So the difference is, if you're in a fixed interest rate, you have a set monthly payments for that term. So if you've chosen a 5-year term, a 4-year term, you know that these are going to be my payments for the next 5 years. I don't have to worry about it. For a lot of people, that is a sense of security, because they know that regardless of what else kind of changes in their life, this is a constant for the next 5 years, right? Until renewal. Versus a variable rate, where yes, the payment, it will stay the same for the amount of years that if you've done a 5-year variable, the payment stays the same. However, the amount that goes towards the principal to pay it off changes depending on the interest rate. So if the interest rates do go up, the amount going towards the principal is less. If the interest rates go down, the amount that's going towards your principal is higher. Right now, from what I see in, you know, in my day-to-day work, is a lot of people are leaning towards this variable mortgage rate because it is so low. And the Bank of Canada had announced that they were not going to raise prime rates until at least 2022. We don't know, like I said, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know if it's going to happen, if it's not going to happen. However, people are kind of riding out the variable rate right now. So it really depends on comfort level. And the other thing between the two is that if you are in a fixed rate and you get a 5-year fixed rate, and then you decide to sell the house, or you win the lottery and you want to pay off the house so you don't have a mortgage, there's a penalty that goes towards that. So that penalty can go anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000, depending on how far you are into your mortgage term. The closer we get to renewal, the lower that penalty gets, for the most part. But if you're in a variable, because let's say you bought an investment property and you don't know how long you're going to keep it, or maybe, you know, it's just for that short term, like I forgot the term, I use that hit and run sort of situation. And you're not sure, you don't want that big penalty. This is where a variable might be good for someone, because there is a penalty to it, but it's only 3 months interest. So you don't have that large $20,000 penalty at the end. You pay 3 months interest and you're kind of good to go after that. The other nice thing about the variable is that if you do see that interest rates are starting to go up, you can call up your financial institution and say, hey, I want to lock in my rate. Can we lock it in at a fixed rate? And you can do that at any time of the mortgage as well. But you are locking in at that time at those current interest rates, not what they were last month. Okay, so that's fixed and variable. Really depends on comfort level for a lot of people and kind of how the market is going and whether this is your first home, investment property, second home, all that kind of stuff kind of plays a factor. Then if you're deciding, should I do an open mortgage or a closed mortgage? What does that mean? So for the most part, commonly people get a closed mortgage because the interest rate is lower on a closed mortgage. Closed means that you're in that for the next 5 years. Again, if you pay it off or pay a large sum to it, there's a penalty that goes with it. Versus an open, you can pay it off at any time, whenever you like, make extra payments to it. There's no penalty, it's open. But the difference between those two could be like 2% on a fixed closed to like the actual 4.79 on an open mortgage. So the interest rate is much higher. Some can go up to 7%, but it really depends on, what kind of situation you're in. A lot of people are buying another house and they're going to be selling one, but their renewal is up, so they don't know what to do. So they'll put it into an open mortgage because they know in the next month or so they might be paying it off. So they pay that little high of an interest rate for that short term, but at least there's no penalty to pay after. And then understanding what amortization actually means. So the word amortization means how long or the amount of time it will actually take to pay off your mortgage in full. So normally people, when they get a mortgage, 25 years, 30-year amortization. As you go on with this mortgage, it goes down. Some people get down to 10 years or 15 years, their amortization, that's all they have left to pay off the mortgage. But it also, cash flow comes and plays into this too. So, you have a mortgage payment of $1,000 a month, let's say, and you have a 15-year amortization. But then COVID hits, people lose their jobs, money gets tight, we need some cash flow. So you can call the bank, depending on what time it is in your mortgage, you can ask to extend that amortization back up to that 25-year. So now maybe your mortgage payment will drop. I don't know the exact number, but depending on what rate you have, maybe it drops to 500, maybe it drops to 700, but it gives you that extra cash flow to be able to manage daily life as well. So amortization is important. A lot of people don't really pay attention to it as much, but it's good to know. And if you are doing a default insured mortgage, so a mortgage that you did not put 20% down, the maximum amortization on that is 25 years. If there's a mortgage that you have paid the 20% or more, you can do the 30-year amortization, okay? It's also nice to kind of think about where you're sitting with your mortgage now, who's your mortgage provider, and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people think that, okay, this is my mortgage, my interest rate is 2% or 3%, but I'm still 3 years away and the penalty is too high. I mean, not necessarily. Sometimes it doesn't hurt to sit down with someone like a financial advisor, and they can actually take a look. If you show them your mortgage statement, they can do a comparison, apples to apples, to if you were to break your mortgage now and get the new rate, is the penalty worth it? What will you save in interest over the term that's left, right? So that's something that people can look at, especially if you're sitting in a fixed, if you're in a variable, open or closed, if you're looking for cash flow, if you're looking to purchase another property, but you don't know how. These are the kind of things that, someone can sit down with you and take a look at and switch your mortgage to another bank, if that's what it means, if they can save you the money on that. Going forward, other financial considerations. So for a lot of people, the rate conversation is the most important conversation. It shouldn't be, but it's a psychological thing. So someone will say 1.96, yeah, it's great. But there's not that much of a difference between 1.96 and, 2.01 or 2.04. But if you're so, rate fixed, and that's all you're looking at, you might forget to ask other important questions that come along with having a mortgage. So depending on who you bank with or where the mortgage sits, it's always good to ask, like, what are my prepayment options? Now, I know the 5 big banks are pretty much the same, but some of the smaller banks or the B lenders or the credit unions might not have these, but they're the ones that have those really, really low rates. So going back, I was talking about rates earlier. Yes, they have been the lowest in history, but they have steadily been going up since February on the 5 big bank side. So the credit unions, the smaller banks, the B lenders, they still have those great low rates, but they might not have everything else that kind of comes with it. So prepayment options, are you able to make 10% anniversary or 20% anniversary payment every year? You know, are you able to double up your payment every month if you wanted to bring that amortization down, right? A lot of the B lenders might not have that, or the credit union. So if you make an extra payment, they ding you with a penalty, versus some of the, like, I don't want to speak for any of the other banks, as I'm not sure, but I know with RBC, you have your 10% anniversary payment. So once a year, you're able to make a lump sum payment of up to 10% of the original mortgage balance that goes straight towards your principal, which cuts down that amortization. You are also able to make double up payments, which means if your monthly mortgage amount is $1,000, and if you can afford to do $2,000 and you want to, you can do that every single month if you wanted to. And that extra $1,000 goes straight to the principal amount. If you can only do it for 6 months and you want to put a stop on it, you can do that. And if you want to start it up again after 3 months, you can do that. If you only have an extra $500 towards the double up payment, you can do that. The minimum is $100. So if your mortgage payment is $1,000, you want to pay $1,100, that extra $100 goes straight toward the principal. But you can double up the entire amount if you wanted to. So these are really good things to know, because for a lot of people, the ultimate goal is pay off my mortgage, be free and clear. So these are the types of things that help you get there faster without that big penalty. And then what penalties are involved? So ask the question, what penalties are involved? If I want to make extra payments, what are you guys going to charge me? If I switch to a different financial institution or pay off my mortgage, what are my penalties? Sometimes it's not just that fixed rate penalty. I know with one FI, I'm not going to take the name. I know with one FI financial institution, along with the prepayment charge that you have to pay if you break your mortgage, they have something called a reinvestment fee that you have to pay. You pay interest as well. So depending on where you bank, there's all these hidden penalties that you may have to pay that you might not know about if you don't ask the right question. If you're just focused on rate, sure, they'll get you that rate, but then they'll ding you everywhere else in the end, if that's kind of what happens. Portability. So what does that mean? Portability is, okay, you know, I have a house, I have a 5-year mortgage, and, you know, 3 years in, I want to sell and upgrade, or sell and downgrade. Am I able to port my mortgage over to the new property? These are good questions to ask, right? So at the banks, and I'm sure the 5 big banks are the same, you are able to port your mortgage, and where you are able to take your current term and your current interest rate with you to the new property. And we're able to hold that for 90 days for you to buy the next one and move in. So you don't have to pay penalties. You don't have to worry about doing that. If you need a bigger mortgage, then we still requalify you for the new funds. And if you're able to afford those new funds, if you need a smaller mortgage, then there may be a penalty on the difference. Okay, so these are kind of good questions to ask as well. And then home protector insurance. Is it right for you? Is it not? Now, I'm not a licensed insurance provider, but on the mortgage end of things, we can provide mortgage insurance. So this is not life insurance for the client. This is mortgage insurance for the actual mortgage. Now, these are good questions to ask because for some people it works. I've seen it work. For some people it doesn't work. It's not worth it because it's not cheap. What is home protector insurance? So essentially it's life and disability for the people that are on the mortgage for the actual mortgage amount. So if in the event, if, you know, Mo and I have mortgage insurance, and if in the event I pass away, RBC pays off the mortgage and Mo owns his place free and clear, and he's happy to go. Like, I mean, life would be great for him after that. But essentially, it's to put someone in a position that if the worst case happens, then the other person is not left with this worry. I mean, you have so much else to worry about in terms of losing someone, that this should not be a concern, right? How am I going to pay my next mortgage payment? This kind of stuff. So these are good questions to ask. You know, does your financial provider provide these kind of options for you, along with the regular mortgage stuff that everybody provides for you? And equity line, is that available to me? So what is an equity line? When you put down 20%, or when you've accumulated 20% of equity in the property that you own, there is a way for you to get an equity line, to have access to that equity to use for whatever you want to use it for. If you want to take a vacation, hey, take it. If you want to use those funds to purchase another property, so your second property, an investment property, you are able to. Now, not all the banks allow you to use refinance funds to purchase the next, but most of them do. So anytime, so again, this goes down to the principal amount. So if your mortgage payment is $1,000, and let's say 500 of that goes towards the actual principal, that's how much your equity line grows by every single month. So if you started with an equity line of just $1 when you first got your mortgage, every month you're making those mortgage payments, that equity line is growing for you by the principal amount of equity in your home, okay? And then you're able to use, it works like a normal line of credit, it's just secured against the home. So by the end of paying off your mortgage, you know, you have 25, 30 years, you pay off your mortgage, or sooner, you could have an equity line worth $300,000, $400,000. Now, according to government rules, equity lines can only be 65% loan to value. Like that's the max they will grow to. But the max we can lend on a mortgage is 80% loan to value, okay? So these are good questions to ask, because not a lot of the, maybe not a lot of the B lenders or the credit unions have equity lines available. And if they do, maybe their interest rates are a little bit higher. At the bank levels, it's always prime plus a half or prime minus a half. So it gives you a really good rate on a large sum of money that you can use for investments, right? Now this is for the people who may already have their home or have been thinking about, should I buy another property? Like Rebecca said, don't wait. When my clients ask me, Atifa, you know, should we wait, or, you know, when's a good time to buy a house? I tell them 5 years ago. And if you ask me in 5 years, I'll say the same thing, 5 years ago. So don't wait, because it's like everything in life. You'll never really be ready. You just kind of got to do it. And you know that this is kind of one of the safer investments in the world. I mean, you can invest in, you know, your RSPs and stocks and all that kind of stuff, mutual funds, but property has shown that, you know, this is kind of where you're going to make the most of it. So it gives people a reason to diversify their portfolio. It gives you rental income, which is nice. So somebody else is paying that mortgage for you. Or if, you know, you want to take time off work and you're in that position where you can retire, you know that there's still income kind of coming in. And how to kind of do that if you only have your first home. So the best way is to refinance. So pulling that equity out, like we were speaking of, pulling that equity out of the house and using that as a down payment for the next place. Because I think the hardest part of buying a house is coming up with a large sum of money. So for first-time home buyers, coming up with $100,000, or these days maybe $200,000, is very hard. And it's unless you have like really rich parents, or can find some really rich parents to like loan you some money, it is tough to get into the market, especially with the way the prices are going. So if you have a home and you've been in the home for 5 years, it's not a bad idea to take a look at, okay, what is this house worth today? How much do we owe on it? And we can do 80% loan to value on that new property value. Now you have a large sum of money, and you can buy the next place as an investment. So, if the goal was to have a couple of rental properties, the goal was to become a landlord one day, it's very possible. right? Then we take a look at debt servicing. The application process is the same, income versus debt, but now we can also take a look at market rent. If this person was to buy this property, what's the market rent in that area? What's the potential rent? We add that to the income as well. And it gives the client a chance to be able to get the foot in the next door. With the second property, with investment properties, however, you do need 20% down. So it's not that 10%, it's not that 5%, you need 20% down. Unless we say it's, you know, my sister's gonna move into it, or my parents are gonna live in this house like a second home. I mean, there's always ways to kind of word things. It's my job to build a business case. But essentially, when you're looking to buy that second house, you're looking at a 20% down payment. So debt servicing has to line up with that, with what you currently own, what your mortgage payments are, what your daily expenses are. Plus now we add a second place, property expenses, heating costs, and what will it cost you to run this household market rent. Yeah, I mean, I think that's it. I don't know if anyone has questions so far.
I don't see any questions yet, but what we can do is, so are you done?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much again. Very, very interesting points there. Great information, Atifa, and especially, you know, between the two of you, there was a lot of information too.
It's a lot.
But thank you. Really appreciate it. We do have some youngsters. Hopefully, they also appreciate what you've said and make use of that information. So what I'm going to do is ask whoever has any questions. You can either raise your hands, not hands, but hand, and let me know if you have any questions. What we can do is take it from there, and or you can also chat on the ask questions on the chat as well. So
I do see a question from yes, Adamanko.
yes.
So the question says, any investment property, so is there any criteria for loan approval? So the criteria is essentially the same as when you're doing a regular mortgage application. So we take into account your income, or anybody else that's coming onto the mortgage with you, your income, your liabilities. We take a look at what your current expenses are on your current home. So property taxes and heating costs are always calculated. If there's a condo fee, always calculated, because those are expenses you have to pay. And then we add in the property and what that will cost you in terms of mortgage, property taxes, if there's condo fees, and hydro and all that kind of stuff. When there's an investment property and we know that you will be renting it out, like I said, we add market rent. We do an appraisal. So we actually go out to see what the average market rent is in that area. And then we can add that as potential income as well to help boost the income if we need it to boost. But essentially the application for a investment property is the same as you buying any other property. It's just now we need that 20% down to make sure it lines up.
You answered my question. Actually, my basic concern was when you're buying a property investment, would you consider the income, the rental income as an income, right?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Excellent. Very good question too. A lot of people are looking at that. Yes, Kalimba. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Yeah, Atifa, awesome. Thank you so much. Not to put you in the spot, would you have a screenshot of any sample current rates?
Rates?
Yeah. Anything like throw out some, you don't have to pull it up, maybe throw out what some going rates would be.
So, okay. So, yes, I do. So
she'll have a special rate for you and something else for me. Yes.
So I do have our RBC mortgage rates. So I'm going to start with this. RBC is the leader when it comes to the 5 big banks. Okay, and I mean this in the sense that we will be the first ones to increase rates, and we will be the last ones to decrease rates. So when I talk to clients, I'm never going to win a rate conversation because it's not going to happen. We will never have those lowest rates. So if you're getting that 1.79, I'm telling you, I'm not going to get it for you. If you have something written, an offer from a different FI, I can send that to my pricing department and see if we can get it matched or come back with a counter offer. However, what I have to provide to the client is that value-added service. So what can I bring with that mortgage? What services like those prepayment privileges, all that kind of stuff, plus the service that comes with it. So I like to tell the client, hey, if you want to shop at Aldo, or if you want to shop at Louboutin, there's a difference. They're both shoes, but depends on the quality that you're receiving. So I do have, now I don't, because this is my personal laptop, I don't have like the RBC stuff there, but we do have a rate page. And I mean, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I can just kind of tell you, it's kind of hard to see. So the going, if I tell you the going rate on a 5-year close at RBC with no discounts, you're looking at around 2.44. So I know with TD and RBC are usually right around the same, if maybe 10 basis points off. BMO is around the same too. But if we're comparing it to like credit unions, like home equity, home trust, those kind of places, we are significantly higher than them. But the variable sits at like 1.75, 1.55 on a 5-year.
Okay, so like you said, it's, you know, the services that come with it, yeah. And the relationship also matters for sure.
It does, because the other thing to take into account is that when you have a broker and they're, you know, they're doing the mortgage for you and they're just kind of landing it kind of anywhere they can get, you know, it done. Once your mortgage is funded, you're not going to hear from that broker again, right? So if something happens, you need help, like you kind of you have to find your own way to kind of get a hold of someone, right? But if you are working with an institution who you know that, okay, you know, Atifa is my mortgage specialist, and I know whether it's 4 years from now or 3 years from now, I can still contact her and she can still take care of my mortgage, like finances, then that's a security in its own, right? Like I know for myself, like I know I have an advisor for my financial stuff and I know I can contact them. And if they move on to a new role, then they give me a soft handoff to somebody else that I know I can go to. So it is a sense of security depending on, you know, where you bank. And for the most part, the 5 big banks are good at that kind of thing.
That's great. And I think there's a question from Adam asking if it's only RBC that you work for or other banks. So.
No, Adam Uncle, I bleed blue. So RBC it is.
No, you know, some brokers, they work with different banks, right? So that's what you thought, right?
No, I'm not a broker. So I'm strictly a mortgage specialist.
With the RBC.
RBC,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
I have
great.
few accounts with RBC, yeah.
No, well, we can talk.
No, I think, you know, I mean, with regard to what you guys have done, it's amazing. And like Kalimba had said initially as well, you know, people in the Jamaat, we meet every day. We you know, don't know what the individual does or what their background is. And this is one thing that I wanted to highlight as well, is to make sure that people understand that, you know, those who are looking for houses, those who are looking for great services from a banking institution, we've got people here. Plus, we've got other professionals as well that I'm hoping to bring, you know, highlight their key value, their successes as well, so that we can, you know, they can benefit from services from the members, plus members are aware of who to go to in times of need. So, you know, again, this is something that I want to make sure that the Jamaat understands what people are doing, what their backgrounds are, what their professions are, so we can turn to those people when in time of that particular need. And I know we've got many people in the organization that have different skill sets, different businesses, and or services that they can offer to all of us. With that said, and I know, Kalimba, you've been answering questions in the chat. Let me see if there's anything else. Mostly thank yous and great presentations. So I think Nima just said what what I was saying earlier. She was just trying to put that. I beat her while she was typing to it. So again, I want to say thank you very much. I know we've gone over time, but you guys had made some amazing points, great knowledge as well. I learned a lot. I'm sure everybody else on this call learned a lot. Not only do we bring people together in our Jamaat because we cannot meet, but we also understand and value each person's professions, right? So now we know who to turn to when we're looking for properties or even investments.
Can I say something quick, Farhan?
Absolutely.
And it's also good to note that just because Kalimbaka lives in Whitby and I live in Cambridge, it's not to say that we still cannot work with you if you live, on the other end. I know I can do mortgages across Canada. So, and with technology, with Zoom, we can do virtual calls. I'm sure Kalimbaka does the same thing. I'm sure now with COVID, he even does virtual showings. So don't feel like, okay, they're so far, like, will we be able to do it? I'm sure Kalimbaka and I both can make it happen regardless.
And that's a good point, Atifa. As a matter of fact, real estate services have been deemed as essential.
Oh, there you go.
At the end of the day, there's no open houses allowed, but I sell from Waterloo to Peterborough. You're right, the world has really become technology driven, even though I had some problems at getting started, but it's a virtual world at the end. Right? So this truly will become, unfortunately, the norm going forward, right? So we can interact. I mean, I remember back in the day when we used to have agreements signed, there would be stacks of 3 or 4 agreements. They'd be like 50 pages each. And we would take 3 or 4 copies, and the people would sit there, sign at midnight, 4 or 5 copies. Now everything is virtual. I send it to them on DocuSign or AuthenticSign, and literally within seconds, they're able to type it on their phone. And I have it back in real time in literally 5 minutes. So, the world has changed in how we transact and how we do business. Unfortunately, in this case, it's accelerated this whole, virtual world, but it's fact of life, and you'll have to evolve with it. But yeah, it's a good point, Latifa. You can work anywhere.
So just to add on to that, I mean, we've got members here who are even joined in from US as well. So, like you said, virtual world, we've got people coming in. We've got, who else? Aslamba as well. He's the KCA chairman from California as well. He's on. Mariam Asindema in California too. So definitely this becoming the new norm now. So I will leave it a little bit open here. Just if anyone has to say anything, feel free to say something, 5 minutes, and then we can call it a day. Anyone wants to say anything?
Thank you for arranging all this. That was very informative. As always, Adamba, Farhan, Kalim, and Atifa, you did a great job. There's so much information that we are happy to know everything now.
We like to see some money coming from US and invest here.
Inshallah, once the borders open.
Inshallah, yeah.
Good. Well,
I just wanted to say, Alhamdulillah, as most of you know, I've been in business for almost 30 years. Kalim Bhai is there. Anybody who wants to buy any business doesn't necessarily be the same business what I am. If they are confused about any, thing, they can always contact me for any guidance or any help. So inshallah, I'm there available to anyone,
Yes, maybe that's another session we can have, Adamba, about, let's call it business guidance.
Inshallah.
That would be next one, inshallah.
Thank you all for the presentation. Thank you.
Any questions from you guys? You guys are going to be buying properties next. Come on.
Soon, inshallah. But
yes.
We have the investment money.
Inshallah.
So the question to you is, what are you doing to save? That's the big question.
Well, question. That is a very good question. Yeah.
Well, I'm saving up money right now to buy a car, and then once I get the money, I'm gonna use the car to get like a job and stuff, and potentially save up more money to invest in some stocks.
But it's not a new car, right? Like it's a
No. Like I use the beat-up car.
asset before liability. That's the rule, okay? Asset before liability.
A nice Honda, a reliable one. Pretty good.
Yeah.
If
Inshallah.
you have any questions, I'll ask you.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to save up as much as possible, trying to put money aside.
Yeah.
It gets hard though. It gets hard though.
It is hard.
On a side note, what I've seen youngsters your age do is look at, investing in Bitcoin and stuff like that. Again, it's not something that I'm advocating, but I've seen kids play with that and
and the market
make some
crashed
money
right now a lot. But
yeah. So anyway, I know Atifa is saying no, but she has a different opinion. But I think it's important that you guys find other ways also to invest. I mean, if you can't invest in properties.
Latifa.
Atifa.
I'm sorry. What do you think about investing in Bitcoin now?
For me, maybe it's my age. I don't know. It's too volatile for me. But if if I were to sit down with someone like you, I would start at I don't know how you guys are over 18.
Around that age.
Yeah, so I would start with at least having a tax-free savings account open. And you can start investing under a tax-free savings account. If you're interested in the stock market, you can do that under a tax-free savings account. So at least you're not getting taxed on the interest that you're earning. So, I mean, you and I can sit down together and I can go through that with you and we can build a financial plan with you. But that's where I would start to get your feet wet in investing in stuff that it's a little more volatile.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
For sure.
And Atifa, I think that's the key point that our kids are missing these days is sitting early in their life with regards to planning their finances or managing to do that kind of financial planning. They get into it a bit later, and like us, we've experienced what it's like to be getting into, because again, when you're as young as they are, you've got a whole life ahead of you, you have other things going on, and financial planning takes a backseat. And I think that is a really good point that you've made. And for Zidane and Sair, you guys can sit and understand what it means to plan your finances. It doesn't mean that you'll start saving a lot immediately, but at least plan. So you have a goal, and maybe I'm taking that away from you, Atifa, but you have a goal of where you want to be and how to start. The earlier you start, the easier it is to reach your financial, let's call it financial freedom, is what people are looking at. So for sure, I mean,
people don't know that it doesn't matter where you bank, right? If you can just walk in, make an appointment and say, hey, I want to talk to someone about investing. I want to learn about this. It's free advice. Even if you don't sign up for anything that day, take home the paperwork that they give you. Ask them, like, if I wanted a tax-free savings account, what could I do with it? Talk to the people that you bank with. These are things a lot of people don't know, in good times and in bad times. I lost my job. I need to sit down with someone and talk to them. Do that. Do it early. Right. Okay. But yeah, I mean, we can connect if you guys want, and then we can connect.
For sure. Yeah, when I'm 18, I'll contact you because then I can open it. Yeah, we're in Cambridge too, right? Right here.
Anytime.
And love your hairstyles, both of you, man.
Thank you.
Look good.
Thank you. You too. I like your background.
I like to be thinking that I'm at the beach here.
Miami. Florida. Oh yeah, Miami.
I would rather say it's Mombasa.
Mombasa.
Yeah. You want booyah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pick me a coconut right now.
I want the booyah tree.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, guys, no, I really appreciate. I mean, this whole idea of this talk was with you.
Can I say something?
Yes, go ahead.
I just had a thought that I think one of your sessions should also be, because we have so many young people, that a session on police services, because we've got Ismail, Dukhai in the community who is a policeman, right? So in these days and times, things are happening. I think for the older generation, the younger generation, something about that would also be very beneficial, you know, and maybe even encourage our younger ones to go towards that route if they're looking to see where they can land as far as a career. Just a thought.
No, so Banubai, that is the whole intention of this as well, is to have people in different careers come and talk about those particular careers. There's a lot in plan, but you know, one person talking, one person arranging everything, and again, we're trying to fit everything in.
Yes, somebody.
So you know, again, I don't want to have something every week. It becomes too much.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm trying to break it down. So inshallah, we'll get those. But great suggestion there. I think that would be my next approach. With we've got Ismail as well as we've got other people in the community that are police officers that can talk about it too. So
right, anything to engage the young people, right? So bring them on board. They start talking to the community. They start getting, you know, that connection, that engagement with us. And that's what we need is, right? Hanepanto, you in our, the other side, the good side of the 60s, we want to take a back seat and enjoy this information that they're relaying to us. And, you know, but we also want to see how they're doing. So this is, I think you're on the right track, and keep this on. It's very good.
Thanks, Banubai. So before you guys go, Atifa and Kalimba, if you can please put your details on the group chat. So whoever wants to reach you, they have your details. So if you can put that on the group chat, that'll be great. At the same time, I did start a youth group, but I have a challenge. We don't have enough people in that group. We have about 4 or 5 people. I want to, you know, do a lot more for the youth, and I need somebody to help me as well on that front. But if I can get the youth involved, we can have a mentorship program. You know, we've got a huge plan ahead, and you know, from my experience with mentoring people, we've seen a lot of success. Those also who are looking for jobs out of college and universities tend to get jobs much faster with mentors, because mentors can help open doors. You know, I'm trying to get the youngsters more involved. And one of the key reasons for this was also the audience I was looking at was for the people who've just recently gotten married or are, you know, a young family that want to go and out and invest into a house and stuff. But again, challenges are there. Our audience needs to change. So inshallah, once we get more people coming into talking about different things, we'll have a mixed audience, and we can reach more people that way too. And Azmat, thanks for getting these 2 guys here. So no, it's good. They learned something, and that's the whole intention of this. Well, with that said, I want to say thank you very much, guys. I've taken a lot of time, but you know, this was really, really helpful. Atifa, Kalimba, I cannot thank you enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Adamba as well, thank you for your guidance, and everybody else who's, you know, asked questions and comments. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, guys. And
thank you very much.
Have a good long weekend, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate, really.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Nurjan Bhai, thank you. Anji, support. Ramzan Bhai, fantastic. Always really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Farhan, tu jito saro kam kariye to alhamdulillah. Panjo hinta milo paherte virtual sales pa milo ta ekde mein ke Nepal ke khabar peti ke panjo crew ay panjo community panjo made kitra mashallah educated yo Nepal ke media information